Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/malicious compliance. In today's episode, evict me without cause and only give me till midnight to be out? No problem. You can't use an accent. Force me to come in with a highly infectious disease to sign paperwork, okay. That price, again, was? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Evict me without cause and only give me till midnight to be out? No problem. So once upon a time I was living in a, not legal, basement apartment of an old Hungarian woman's house. I was poor, the place was cheaper than what was around, so I took it. How bad could it be? She was horrific. At first she was an okay landlady, but then things started to turn. First I noticed that things were off when I got home from work. Ever get that feeling someone was in your room? So I asked her if she'd been in there, and she denied it. Then I set up a camera and caught her on camera. Asked her again and she denied it, saying she's never go in my apartment without telling me. Then I showed her the video and she got mad at me. I worked nights. One time she came in during the daytime and I was there. In bed, naked under the sheets. I woke up when she came in and asked if I could help her. She said no and left. After that she would call me lazy boy when she saw me, assuming I didn't work since it was at night. Things kept getting worse. She'd sometimes shut off the water when she thought I was using too much or when I refused to share my Wi-Fi password with her other tenant. Finally, one night I had some friends over for a birthday. There was 6 of us total. It was around 11 p.m. and trust me when I say, we were not being loud at all. Literally just hanging around the coffee table eating cheesecake, talking and laughing. She came into my apartment and started yelling that I was having a loud party with too many people in the middle of the night. She actually came and grabbed my shirt telling me everyone had to leave. Oh hell no. That was it. So I pushed her off of me and the police were called. That Monday, she left a really poorly written eviction notice on my door. Seriously, handwritten. Telling me to be out by Saturday by midnight. Here's the MC. By 11:59 p.m. that Saturday, I had all my stuff in the U-Haul. My friends and I were just working on bagging up the trash and other stuff for the dump, when she came in and yelled at me that it was past midnight. No problem. I got up and left, leaving a huge pile of junk in the bedroom and storage room. Easily 2 pickup trucks worth of crap I wasn't taking. She actually called my father, who was my emergency contact on my application, to tell me it cost her $400 to haul it all away, and that I owed her money. He blocked the number. The end. Bonus story. She was showing the apartment when I was still living there. She didn't tell me. So when she led 2 strangers in the daytime, waking me up again, I stood up. Fully naked, full staffed, and said I wouldn't rent from her if it were the last apartment in town. The couple quickly left. You can't use an accent. Reading through the responses on my post from yesterday, I was reminded of another instance of MC from my days at Ticket Nation. After you have taken a couple hundred calls, a week or 2 of work, really, it can get boring, and boredom leads to finding ways to entertain yourself. One of my coworkers decided that he was going to entertain himself by putting on an accent to see how the customers reacted. While I admit he chose poorly, he decided to imitate an Indian accent and started taking calls. He was loving it. After a call or 2, however, his team lead overheard him and asked what he was doing and told him to stop. The next day an email was sent out forbidding us from using anything other than our natural accents while we were on the phone. Now, I was living in South Texas at the time, and have a fairly average American accent with a bit of Texan mixed in, but I have family in East Texas and Central and Northeast Arkansas, and when I was little I spoke like them, and so I had an idea. The next day, my opening went from, "Thank you for calling Ticket Nation customer service, this is Astralegium," How may I help you today? To thank you fair Callan ticket Nashun customer service. Is SDRO Legium, how can I help you today? Needless to say, I was quickly noticed and pulled off the phones by my team lead. He asked me if I had read the email, which I confirmed, and then he went on to ask why, if I had read the email, I was using an accent. The look of utter confusion on his face when I told him I'm not was priceless. After a bit of back and forth, I told him that I was raised speaking like I had been on those calls, and that the accent that they were used to hearing me take calls in was, in fact, not my natural accent, and since I didn't want to get written up, I had complied by reverting to the one that was. He wasn't sure how to respond at first, and even went to speak with a manager above him, but kept me off the phones while he figured out how they wanted to proceed. A few minutes later they came back and told me that they wanted me to go back to my professional accent, but I told them that it would be setting a bad example to the rest of the team since we don't want anyone using an accent that isn't their natural accent either. They were stumped on how to proceed, and sent me back to the phones. I continued to take calls with my natural accent after that, and a few of my peers started noticing, and a few of them even joined in by abandoning their Americanized accents in favor of their native Mexican accents. It was glorious. In the end, management decided to roll back the rule and only asked us to keep in one accent throughout the call, and not to use an accent that is derogatory demeaning. I went back to my normal accent and my teammate went back to using a different accent on each call. Thinking back on it, I should have invited him to my D&D group, he would have made a great dungeon master. Force me to come in with a highly infectious disease to sign paperwork, okay. This story is pre-COVID and took place in 2013 when I went on a long and much-needed vacation. I managed to pick up a virulent disease. Initially we thought I just had a cold, then the flu, eventually as we flew back to the States and taking handfuls of anti-inflammatory meds to keep me breathing we thought it was pneumonia or bronchitis. As soon as we arrived and got through customs my parents were waiting, and it was straight to the emergency room. There they gave me a deep swab and a doctor came in wearing a mask and face shield. They told me I had whooping cough. Apparently my TDAP vaccinations failed to produce a proper immune response and herd immunity had protected me until that point. My family in the waiting room who had taken me said another group of people in gear came in, and they sterilized the seat I'd been sitting in and every area I had gone through or touched. So I followed procedure and emailed my boss and let him know that I was very ill and what I had and wouldn't be coming in the next day. My boss forwarded the email to our human resources department and they contacted me saying that I needed to come in to fill out the FMLA paperwork and to bring a doctor's note. I asked if it was okay to just email them the forms and they said, no, the forms had to be filed out in person. The HR rep was quite insistent on this. Cue malicious compliance. So the next day I dragged myself in, coughing, ill and virulent to the office. My boss and director were both there, and they were horrified to see me and both wanted to know why I was there. I explained that HR demanded I come in, and that I had a 9 a.m. appointment with them. Needless to say they were not pleased and our office manager began lysoling everything, including me. My meeting got moved up to 8:05, and while I was meeting with the HR representative to get my benefits in order they were meeting with the HR director to sort things out and express their irritation with HR's face-to-face requirement. I finished shortly after and went home. Their meeting lasted a bit longer. The end result was that everyone in HR and my department got nasal swabs and the office was shut down for a week for cleaning and a test period. We also got a new office policy that if you are sick with a deadly and highly infectious disease you must email the documents in and can sign from home rather than having to show up. I was told that I wasn't in trouble as I obeyed company policy and did exactly as instructed. Edited to add. No one at work got sick. A few weeks later we figured out where I got it from. The night before I left on the trip I went to a karaoke bar. My friend's aunt and parents were there. Her aunt is an anti-vaxxer from a different state. We were all sharing food and the karaoke controller. 3 of the 20 of us got sick. My vaccine completely failed me, one had minor cold-like symptoms, and the third thought she had a mild flu. My friend's mother had to fly out to California as the aunt was hospitalized because of pertussis, and they thought she was going to die. She made it, however, but has greatly reduced lung capacity. I didn't make it out unscathed, and have extensive lung scarring from being sick without treatment for nearly 3 weeks. Update 2. Day 0, infected at karaoke bar. Week 1 in Philippines, slight coughing but figured it was just a cold or the air. Week 2 in Japan, more of the same, coughing got a bit worse so I bought some cough medicine, started to feel a bit off. Week 3 in China, flying into Beijing, the absolutely awful air made it worse overnight. Figured that the air pollution had given me an infection. By the time I realized it was something other than a simple cold, I was in China, and after having spent a couple days there I didn't trust the quality of care I would get. I couldn't communicate with anyone stateside as they had Skype, Gmail, and everything else blocked on their internet. I had gone through China once before and missed a connecting flight due to delays. I got on the next flight, but it caused me to overextend my transit visa by 4 hours. Despite the assurance the airline gave me, I was put in a holding cell in Kunming for 3 hours and had to pay a cash fine. It was only on my last 2 days in country that I found out about using VPNs to bypass the strict security, which was illegal anyway, and arranged for my parents to take me to the hospital as soon as I got home. Day 22, got back to US, saw doctor. Before they'd even done the test, he said it was whooping cough, as the whoop of trying to breathe between coughing was obvious. Week 4, begun treatment. Life was awful, the sheer amount of coughing was making me vomit. Very weak. Week 5, coughing improves, put on drugs to help with the pain as it felt like my chest and gut had been beaten, every muscle hurt brings belief. Week 6, still coughing, but improving, can finally sleep through the night for the first time since week 4. Week 7, improving, but barely able to get out of bed, pain had begun to diminish. Week 8, went back to work part-time, still felt weak and needed a cane to walk. Week 10, could walk without a cane. Week 12, still coughed, but it was more psychological than physical. Back to full-time work. Week 13, put on antidepressants and antipsychotics as the steroids and antibiotics had affected my brain chemistry / caused neuro issues. Month 6, stopped coughing. Was back to 95% health. Weaned off meds. Month 7, tested for immune response to other diseases. Month 8, follow-up CT scan showed scarring throughout lungs. The doctor said I had scarring on 10 to 20% of my lungs. That price, again, was American here. There is a federal law that requires the labeled price to be the one charged at the time of purchase. Retail clerks make mistakes, and I'm aware that sometimes people take advantage of those mistakes. I'm not usually one to do so, unless I'm treated poorly. Shopping at my local supermarket, I see a display of imported, smoked Gouda cheese. It's one of my favorite cheeses, and I buy it often from that store. I know what it usually costs. What caught my eye was these wedges were priced per each, not per ounce. Let's say the normal price was US $4.99 per ounce, so a reasonable wedge of 3 or 4 ounces was anywhere between $15 and $20. Oh no, these were priced at $4.99 each, regardless of weight. Now, I'm a pretty honest guy, so I informed the deli manager of the discrepancy. He got snotty with me, told me the prices were as marked, and if I didn't like it he would be glad to have the store manager correct me. Alrighty, then. I grabbed all the mispriced wedges I could find, loaded up my cart and headed to the checkout register. The girl working it commented on how cheap the cheese was. I told her it was priced incorrectly, and that the deli manager didn't want to be bothered with it. She just smiled and said, "Good for you." I gave away a lot of it, but ended up spending $200 for almost $900 worth of cheese. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.